These are kids who are trying to learn about humanity!
This is going to Getugly. I'm reaching out to people on the progressive left, and specifically I mean the smart, thinking, capable of reflection and personal insight wing of the progressive left. And I'm just wondering, are you at the point yet where you're starting to think that maybe you picked the wrong side? At what point do you acknowledge the dissonance between the conception of your side as being the tolerant, loving, compassionate, non-judgmental, decent, reasonable, non-violent people, and what your side is saying and doing out there in the real world?
Fucking jump! You are a jump! You're grown boys! You're grown boys! And even the black lives! You're a fucking grown boy too, you motherfucker! You're not protecting the NYU students here! And I'm disgusted! I'm a professor! How dare you! How dare you fucking assholes protect neo-Nazis! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
She's a professor, folks. She's entrusted and paid to shape the impressionable minds of today's youth. She's on your side. These are the people on your side. This was yet another demonstration outside of a building where some speaker that these people, your side, disagrees with, was giving a talk, and these people, your side, decided they were entitled to stop other people from going to see that speaker, and to proclaim that simply showing up to want to hear this person express their point of view made them racist by definition. And there's no discussion about it.
What I'm saying to you is if you want that, if you agree with that, if you're going to hear that speak, you're aiding in white supremacy, you're aiding in racism, and therefore you are a fucking racist. Period, point blank. That's it.
Then why are you here? I want to know why you're here. Why are you
No! It's racist. It's not right. No, period. No, period. No. Malcolm X.
Don't read from James Baldwin.
Let me speak. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Don't assert your privilege over me. Don't fucking interrupt me, because I will check that ass real quick. Yes. You've already been checked, the fuck?
You also notice in there a lot of this cognitive dissonance that seems to be widespread on the progressive left these days, where one of the people blocking entrance to the building with this crowd of angry, aggressive people who were physically blocking people from simply going to hear somebody speak, at the same time says, look at us, we don't represent hate. That's you who represents hate.
That's the difference between us. We don't have hate. That's the difference. We're yelling at you because we've been living in system of oppression next to people like you.
No.
And the next thing they start pointing their fingers in people's faces and yelling at them and calling them awful names.
You're a fucking problem, and guess who needs to leave? Your motherfucking ass. You need to fucking leave. If it's 2017, there is no space. There is no fucking space for it. It just you think you're fucking right? You think you're fucking
But we don't represent hate. These are the people who agree with you, my progressive left friends. These are the people on your side. Remember, the whole premise here was that it's the other guys who are supposed to be the scary, intimidating, violent, unpleasant people that you didn't want to empower in any way. But they're not acting this way. It's the people who agree with you who are acting this way. Do you think maybe it's time to reconsider your judgment about who are and who are not the villains? So this woman is a representative of The Guardian, right? One of the most mainstream, biggest news organizations in the world, certainly in Britain. And here she is, representing mainstream opinion on these things, saying that in principle, beating people up in the street's a bad thing. However, if it's someone we decide deserves it, I'm not going to criticize them for it.
In principle, it's never okay to hit anyone, Nazi or otherwise. But when Richard Spencer was punched while giving an interview in the street, it was a cathartic moment for many.
I've given conferences for ages, and we'll usually expect some protesters, they'll do silly string or something like that. We've entered this new world where the leftist protesters, no, I'm not a neo-Nazi.
You like black people?
Well, why do you
Yeah,
hate
sure.
why do some neo-Nazis love you if you're not a neo-Nazi?
Neo-Nazis don't love me, they kind of hate me, actually.
Following the KKK, neo-Nazi.
Those people don't like me,
Are you
to be
like
honest.
the hipster version of the neo-Nazi
What?
movement?
It's Pepe's become kind of a symbol.
These are the people who agree with you, my progressive left friends. These are your people. This is your side, advocating violence. And now let's be clear here, because I know a lot of people will be thinking, well, if they're beating up Nazis, who cares? The problem is you can call anybody you want a Nazi. Those people were carrying signs in the street saying, make racists afraid again. And this is the strategy that the progressive left use all the time, is that they want to be violent, and they want to be aggressive, and they want to shut down opinion and perspectives that are different from their own. And they want to do that forcefully. So they justify themselves, that desire to act this way, by labeling people who disagree with them all of these nasty things. And now they say that justifies intimidating people.
A lot of us find ourselves at a loss for how to respond as frightening and dangerous views are suddenly not only being aired, but mainstream.
So this woman who works for and is representing a major mainstream media outlet and who has just endorsed beating people up in the street is warning you that it's those other people who have frightening and dangerous views that are being mainstreamed. It's this ability to embody the very terrible qualities that they're accusing other people of having, and to be completely oblivious to the contradictions in their own speech and behavior, that's truly unsettling. Yeah, if people have to beat people up if they disagree with them, that's okay. Because those other people have frightening and dangerous views.
Some positions simply cannot be entertained, let alone argued against. There is this fallacy on the left around reasoned debate. Don't assault and boycott racists and misogynists. Debate with them. Don't go low, go high.
Okay, so it's the left that encourages debate and open discussion about these things? Because you've never seen anybody on the left waving their finger in people's faces and telling them to shut their mouth and shutting down discussion and ideas they dislike by using phrases like privilege and assuming I can just say privilege and that means you don't get to talk and I do.
Give a fuck. Let me speak. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Don't assert your privilege over me. Don't fucking interrupt me, because I will shut that ass real quick.
You never see people on the left blocking people from attending functions or listening to speakers that the left disagrees with. You never see people on the left trying to stop speakers from having a platform. That never happens, because they have this natural inclination towards debate and an open exchange of ideas. But all that's over now, apparently, because they've done that too much and it doesn't work. So now it's time to, what? Hit people in the street?
Kind of assembled.
That punch, it caught us up.
When they go low, we go high.
Don't go low, go high. Be better. But why? Why should we be better? Just for the sake of being better? Or because being better produces results?
You're not better. That's the problem, is that you assume you're better. You're not. You can't just declare yourself better, right? You have to actually demonstrate that. You actually have to be better. Otherwise, it's just narcissism and childishness. Well, I think I'm better than other people, therefore it must be true. You just take for granted that if you think something or feel strongly about something, it must mean that that's right. It doesn't. It just means you are a narcissist. That you can't distinguish between your own internal subjective impressions that spontaneously come to you or appeal to you and truth. You just assume it's the same thing. You conflate the two. It's the worldview of children. It's the how dare you not see things the way I do perspective. Children.
There is a narcissism of good behavior that needs to be justified.
Narcissism of good behavior.
There is a complacency born out of a combination of shock, privilege, and inertia that makes some think that keeping the dignity of liberalism intact will somehow shame bigots into behaving.
Ah, the dignity of liberalism. Let's bask once again, shall we, in the warm glow of the dignity of liberalism.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! These are kids who are trying to learn about humanity!
These people aren't on the fringe. This is the mainstream. This is people in academia, people in the media, and these are the people who agree with you. These are the people who are advocating violence, who are endorsing violence, who are out there in the streets committing violence and intimidation. This is your side. So I ask you, again, my progressive left friends, do you think maybe you picked the wrong side?
I'm a protester!